I'm going to call the meeting to order. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, April 6, 2026 meeting of the Westport Select Board. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded. Just a couple of comments to start out with. First, we would like to express our thanks to the Commission on Disability and the Shorelines who put on a Meet the Candidate event, which is available on YouTube if you didn't get a chance to see the event, but they went through all of the candidates for the upcoming election. A reminder that the town election is on Tuesday, April 14. The polls for town elections open at 10. This always catches people, but the polls on April 14 will be open 10 to 8. We also want to thank the Board of Health for putting on their household hazardous waste event. I didn't hear any statistics from it, but I know that it was well attended, so thank you to the Board of Health for that. Just a couple of notes. So we have the 14th is the town election. Our next meeting is 3 weeks from today rather than 2 weeks, so it'll be on April 27. And then a reminder that town meeting is on Tuesday, May 5th. So that's an open town meeting for any registered Westport voter, Tuesday, May 5th. Are there any other announcements I might have missed?
Sean, I forgot to mention beforehand, this Saturday is April 11th. I think it's Clean Our Westport.
Clean Our Westport, yes.
So that's on this Saturday, so hopefully the weather is good, but usually a good event.
Yeah, 9 o'clock at the old high school, I think,
Yep,
right?
and then they'll give you a street assignments, but if you can sign up in advance, you can sign up online and do that.
Yeah, thank you. I forgot about that one. All right. I am going to, with permission of my colleagues on the board, I'm going to bump up on the agenda the police appointments. So we have 4A. We have a request from Police Chief Christopher Dunn to appoint Zachary Berube and Joseph Yeadon as full-time police officers effective April 19. Welcome, Deputy Chief Fabella.
Good evening.
Can you tell us what this is about?
Sure. So it's been almost a year since we've been here in front of the Board of Selectmen, the Select Board rather, for your approval to send these two officers, Officer Yeadon and Officer Barabee, to the academy. We thank you for that because it's such a long process that now a year later, they're finally out and they're still currently in their field training. They're in their last phase of field training. They're doing their shadow phase. So they're out in their cruisers alone. Their FTOs are going to calls with them, but they're primarily handling it on their own and they're traveling around town, getting those calls now by themselves in their cruisers. So if here, Joseph Yeadon, Officer Barabee as well.
That's why the ties. Yeah.
What's that?
That's why they wear the ties.
Fancy.
Yeah.
So like I said, they're in the last phase, and we're asking that their effective date be April 19th, so that way they complete that phase. We've spoken with staff instructors at the academy. Both officers have a great reputation at the academy and also with their peers during the academy. Both officers will be an excellent addition to both our department and our town. That's all I have.
All right. Either of you want to say anything? You don't have to. No.
Fine, but just thank you to the select board as well as the department for taking a chance on us, and we look forward to serving the community.
Thank
Thank
you. Great.
Our pleasure.
All right.
Madam Chair, I move these two appointments.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Welcome aboard. Or sorry, that's 3 in favor and 2 absent. And then we have the next item is a request from the police chief to appoint Michaela Plant to part-time E911 dispatcher effective April 7.
So again, we're just asking for this part-time position to assist with open dispatch shifts. One of our dispatchers is pregnant, should be going out for maternity leave, and this is just helping us fill those vacancies that we have there as well.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 in favor and 2 absent. Anything else on your list for us?
The only thing, if I have a moment, just some of the volunteering stuff we've done. We've done the extravaganza with the recreation department. That was a huge success over at the old high school. It's nice to be able to use that building for that. And also, we've played a couple of basketball games. Unfortunately, we've lost both of those games. But we played with the unified basketball team, the first annual Westport Middle School unified basketball match. And then just this past weekend, they played in the Flutter Cup. Again, unfortunately, a defeat for us, but
I went to the first one. It was so much. I was so glad that I went.
I played in the first one. Yeah, it was a really good time. And
I think some of you all were trying to make those baskets and not not making them.
I'm not going to say anything about that. but Hopefully the 5th
No, it was a great event.
on that, but yeah, it was a good thing. And we're just collaborating with local town departments and just gearing up ready for the summertime. Other than that, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Anything for,
No, that's it.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
gentlemen.
Appreciate it.
If you leave, please don't congregate in the hallway. You can,
Have a good evening.
you don't have to
Thank
stay,
you.
you can leave, but just don't talk in the hallway. Okay, now we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. So we have a public hearing. This has been continued from March 23rd, 2026. We have a request from NStar Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy to install 8 new manholes, 6 by 10 by 8, 1 new manhole, 13 by 13 by 8, and approximately 4,810 feet of conduit in the right-of-way of Hicks Bridge Road. And welcome, Jessica.
Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening. Good evening, Madam President and members of the board. Jessica Elder, for those that don't know, representing Eversource, and thank you for continuing this hearing, and hopefully we can get this situation resolved. Well, for those that weren't present, there may be people here that weren't present at the previous meeting, this project is associated with work order 160-11978, which is the installation, as previously mentioned, 4,800 feet of underground conduit, 8 manholes along Hitchbridge Road and Drift. This is the work of 2 other projects that we've already had approved. And it's part of a larger effort to improve system reliability in the area. So the timeline that came up, I'm going to touch on those points that were questioned. There was a confusion with the letter that went out. The letter was talking about several other jobs, so the accumulating of 1 year was not this project. This project is going to be about a season. We're looking to start at the end of April, going into maybe October, maybe weather problems, maybe November at the very latest. We're planning on doing 1 section at a time as opposed to, a large area. We normally do 50 to 100 feet of conduit within a day. Manholes take about 2 days to do. So with that being said, with the weather permitting in the timeline, we're looking at, from the end of April to about October. So while this project does scan several months, any impact on any location will be short-term and localized. Traffic, we always maintain one lane of traffic and coordinate closely with the police department, which I know is very important. I know there were some concerns about detours where that span is so long, so we'll make sure that that's, being considered. Restoration, all disturbed areas will be restored to the same or better condition, including the pavement, sidewalks, lawns, and driveways. I know there was also a concern about the manholes and flooding. All that stuff would be addressed. I know that there's been a lot of communication with DPW, with Chris, with Community Relations. So all those questions have been taken into consideration. As far as any outages, for the most of the project, customers will not experience any outages. In the rare event that one is needed, they will be notified. It will be brief and scheduled in advance. There was a concern about safety voltage. This is our standard, which is 13.2 kilovolt distribution system, and it's consistent with the existing infrastructure. And safety, of course, is used throughout our service territory. So again, I talked about the letter to clarify that. There's also, if anybody's have a question, there's a telephone number I have. If anybody needs it, they can meet me right outside the area, or I can tell you that a lot of the questions are on the website. It's a Eversource Westport website, and I just have that here. Sorry, I don't know it offhand. It's www.eversource.com/Westport. And the number that they can contact us directly is 1-833-836-0302. So if there's any other questions during this time, they can be reached at that, and someone will get back to you. So again, this project includes, improves long-term well-being constructed in a way that minimizes disruption to the community.
I know Jake will have stuff for you, but, so I just want to reiterate. So one of the concerns that we had was the duration of the project. So you've said that April to October pending weather, so it's not a year.
Right.
And then one of the other ones was that you will always keep a lane open, so there will
Yes.
not be any detour situations. You'll
Correct.
just have one side of the road open so that traffic can get by.
Absolutely.
And the businesses won't be affected. Okay. Did you have anything before, Jake?
No, but there are a number of questions here that the police department posed, but I think they've all been answered.
Okay. Well, I got a few.
I'm sure you do. Okay, all right, go ahead, Jake.
Jessica, welcome back.
Hi, Jake.
How you doing?
Well,
So, as Dick pointed out with respect to, we received a pretty good letter back from the Westport Police Department with respect to, and kind of I brought it up in the last meeting, there are, looks like probably 4 events, which are either fundraisers or races that will use that pathway or use Hicks Bridge. How will those be addressed with
So,
respect to?
so I know that Anthony spoke with, or if he hasn't, there was a meeting set up with the police department, so we're going to coordinate to work around those schedules.
Okay.
Of any parades or, bike races or marathons or whatever.
Okay.
So that will be definitely coordinated with.
So
time schedule.
it's a Monday through Friday work schedule during the day?
It
that
is.
correct? Okay.
It is.
Now,
7
during,
to 3, I believe.
during the nights, like, are there going to be,
I wasn't aware of any night
Okay.
work.
and will both lanes of traffic be open?
There'll be a lane, yes, so that there's
In
2
the
lanes. It'll
evenings?
be one lane for each, on each side.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you'll be closing one down during the day?
Correct.
Okay. My only concern, again, as I pointed out, is with the winery and the brewery and a lot of the traffic that's going to be going there, and actually for the Westport residents, the Hicks Bridge boat ramp. So do you know where you're starting the project? Is it on this end of Hicks Bridge, or is it the far end of Hicks Bridge, and kind of which ones will be impacted with that?
That I don't know. I just know that,
Okay.
for each area, like I explained, the 50 to 100 feet at a time is only going to be, that short period of time, and then moving on, so that it's not going to be impacting a large area all at once, to make it easy. So if it is, we'll say the liquor store, whatever it is, it might be a day as opposed to an entire week.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, both of these facilities have summer concert series and a lot of events that do take place. And the problem, from your standpoint, is one's at the beginning of Hicks Bridge. The
One's-
boat ramp is at the other beginning of Hicks Bridge,
Gotcha.
and in the middle is a winery. So, again, we're going to have issues, and I know we're going to have issues this summer if there's one lane, even during the day. I don't know if there's a way that we could, if it could be coordinated with the winery or brewery for bigger events, if we back off that construction timeline to maybe stop at 2 PM or 1 PM so people can get there, so you actually have 2 lanes. That's the one thing that's going to impact people the most is when people, not only Westport residents, but people get off 88, shoot down Hicks Bridge, and can't get to where they're supposed to be getting to.
And just one note to piggyback off what Jessica said. So I did talk to Anthony, our community relations specialist, and he did reassure us that if there was either an event that took place on the road or within the area, they would be amendable to working with us. So if we do know, there's a concert any given afternoon or evening, we'll plan to send those dates over so that we can give them as much notice as possible. So to your point, if we, if it was a shorter workday, obviously it'll be to their benefit too that there's not a surge of traffic in the area at that given point of time.
Actually, the other thing I was thinking of and seeing the people in the crowd, the Westport Fair, right? Last year was a mess with people coming down Old County, going down Pine Hill, Hicks Bridge, just trying to find a way to get in there. So I think that's also, what is that, a 5 days, is that correct? The fair?
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
So that's a
Thursday or nighttime.
That's a 5-day window that we're going to have an issue with, that I think we need to address with respect to that timing as well in July.
Yeah, so I'll coordinate with the chief on that too, because I know when it comes to traffic, that's a larger plan for the area, so I'll take a look at what events we have and that we're aware of. If there's anything that we're missing, obviously, I'll get some feedback in from their team as well, just to make sure we're mitigating as much as possible in that area.
And do we know which end they're starting? Are they starting on this 88 side of the project?
I can take a look at the notes.
Okay.
See if there's a phasing plan in here from what was submitted.
Are you cheating? Drift Road side? Okay, that's where it's
There we go,
starting?
perfect.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
all right. So at least that's helpful from the standpoint of hopefully you get past the boat ramp earlier rather than later, because that's towards the beginning, so, okay.
I mean, I know that, like I said, Anthony has put in a couple of calls to Lieutenant Mello, so he's really trying to find out what the schedules are gonna be to be able to coordinate that, to avoid as
Okay.
much as possible. Really trying to, I know that the communication has been pretty large on this project, so.
I think I'm good for now.
So this is a public hearing. If anybody has any comments, you can go to the mic.
My name's John Davenport. I'm a resident of Cadman's Neck Road. And I understand that all the abutters that are on Hicksbridge Road received a letter, a notification letter. Well, everybody that lives on Cadman's Neck is technically an abutter to this construction. And I want to know why we didn't get letters.
That's a good question, because the letters did not come from my department, and so there was a little bit of confusion with those letters that have gone out.
Well, we would request that we get some. We don't want to have to, we want it in the
You're
mail.
talking about, you're talking about getting notifications of the work that's
The
going on?
same that all the abutters that live on Hicksbridge Road got, same letter. Now, the other thing is that with regards to the boat ramp, everybody that comes and goes to that boat ramp, uses it, pays a fee to do so. Not even one day should be robbed from them for those fees. The second thing is, almost everybody that comes to that boat ramp is pulling a trailer, which means wide turn in and wide turn out. And there's only one way in and one way out of that ramp now, not two ways. So there's no, if it's a 100-foot stretch that you're going to do per day, if the entrance is in that 100-foot stretch, that road's shut down technically for the day. Cadman's Neck Road, where the right-of-way has been marked off in little white lines, that would prevent us from getting out of, for that whole day, if the 100 feet was there. So we see some problems, and I would really like to get those addressed in writing before you approve anything. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Can you address how you allow, that situation he's talking about, if you're trenching the road and his road is perpendicular, right? So how do you maintain access for the people in those situations?
I would imagine the detail being set up to coordinate, the in and out, I would imagine. I'm not there, I'm not really sure how they
I
detail it.
think that's not
but it's-
unusual for that to happen, okay. All right, any other comments? Okay.
I mean, we have no problems, obviously, having this approved with conditions, if there are some conditions. But
Do you have a recommendation?
So just, I guess, the note on conditions, I can list off a few.
Okay.
As a follow-up from our last meeting. So first, that all work be subject to the Highway Department's standards, and the traffic safety is done in coordination with our public safety departments. That road work and restoration is done in line with the standards, and that Eversource and the project team be responsible for any settling repairs for a period of 2 years. So, as we say at the last meeting, making sure that we're maintaining access for emergency vehicles, residents, and businesses. That would include, obviously, those side streets as well. So coordinating with the details. One of the things that was talked about at the last meeting was if there is any project timeline updates, if you would share it with us, and we can obviously, post that electronically as well through our social media platforms. If there is any closures or delays or things of that nature. And then, just going through my list here. I believe that's all I had.
Okay. So do we have a motion to approve with the conditions as noted?
Madam Chair, I'm willing to make a motion, but I want to be sure that we don't have any of these problems and all the issues are addressed. It sounds like they will be, but there seems to be a little bit uncertainty here on some of these items. So can we say unequivocally that all these issues that have been raised by the residents will be taken care of well before?
Oh, I mean, I think they've even started to address them as far as communicating. A couple of the abutters I know have been called, to inform them of some of their concerns and questions.
Is there another condition
I
that
know
you
that
didn't mention? that
there
you were
was a-
thinking?
I might have one.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I think the other conditions we need to add on this is that we coordinate through the two businesses that are there, whatever their summer schedule is, whatever their summer concert series schedule is for both the winery and the brewery, and what big events they have. Coordinate with the 4th of July, with the Westport Fair Committee to confirm that. And then also the 4 events, one's in November, but I have a feeling that this project will go over the October timeframe. So the one that occurs in May, how it will be impacted, the 2 in September and 1 in November. Again, I'm more concerned that if it's a road race or bike race, if there are raised platforms in the road, if there are ditches or, partial, fills on some of that road, you're going to cause some issues. We'll have to have another race to help out the injuries they get when they fall off their bikes.
So those are additional conditions that you're
Yes.
recommending?
I think just full coordination, winery, brewery, 4th of July, Westport Fair, sorry, and then also the organizers of the 4 events that we currently have right now.
Are there others that you?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve with all of those conditions to be included.
I will second that. Is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Opposed?
So we have 2 in favor, 1 opposed, and 2 absent, so that passed. Good, thank you. Please keep us updated. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
If you're leaving, don't talk in the hallway. Thank you. The next item, request from William Rudisell to approve a common victualler license for Lickety Splits located at 719 State Road to Ruda's Creamery LLC, doing business as Lickety Splits due to an ownership change. Is there anyone here for that?
Yeah, do I,
Yep, just sit down.
thank you for having me.
And can you just introduce yourself?
I'm sorry?
Can you introduce yourself?
I'm William Rudisill.
Okay.
I have been teaching for the last 25 years, and I saw that Mark was selling the ice cream shop, and so it's been a long journey to get here, but I think we're gonna close on it a week from today, and obviously with summer on the way, we hope to get reopened soon, and I'm gonna try and Mark's been in business here in Westport for 35 years, and his father before that, and I hope to keep working with Mark so I can keep this shop as good as it has been for as long as he's been there.
And are you making any kind of major changes to operating hours or anything like that?
It's, I applied, I think with the Board of Health for the time period, for 6 months, and I don't know if we'll be open that long. Mark closed last year, I think in early September. Hopefully we can keep it going until October this year, but same hours and same menu, and hopefully a lot of the same crew too. So
Okay.
like I said, I've been teaching for the last 25 years. When I was in school, I had worked in ice cream shops and a bunch of other restaurants. So
Okay. Any questions?
No? I'd move approval, Madam Chair.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous, or 3 in favor and 2 absent. Good luck.
thank you.
When are
so
you
much.
opening?
Hopefully in about 10 days.
Okay.
Got to get all the stuff ordered.
Hopefully the weather warms up too.
Yeah.
Good luck. I hope you have some good weather. Thank you. Okay, so now we are on 4C. We have a request from the town nurse, Linda Pierce, to accept her retirement effective July 3rd, 2026, and to post the position with a start date of July 6th, 2026. You have a recommendation on this one?
Recommend to accept the retirement notice with regret.
And what about posting? Are you okay with posting?
I am okay with posting,
Okay.
yes. And my office will work with Matt on that.
Okay.
Motion to approve,
Second?
reluctantly.
I don't know, you guys switching off and make it harder for Carla.
Who do you want to go
Just
first?
keep her on her toes. Is there any discussion?
Well, I would just like to say, I know Linda quite well, and she's jabbed me a few times. She's a great lady, and she served the town well. I remember when she came on board, there was controversy as to whether or not we needed a nurse. I thought the question was moot, and so did the Board of Health, and it turned out to be a great thing, and it's something that we have to have nowadays.
Yeah. All right, so we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 3 in favor and 2 absent. We have a request from Town Clerk Kristen Stinson to appoint Evelyn Mercier to the Board of Registrars for a term to expire April 2029. Welcome, Chris. Do you want to explain this one to us?
Sure, it's just, Evelyn was appointed for 1 year last year to complete someone else's term. She would be the Republican registrar to complement the balance for the registrars. She was successful and involved. The Republican Town Committee has recommended her as their first choice, and I feel confident that she's a good fit.
Okay,
Motion to approve.
Second?
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye, sorry.
okay, just checking.
I'm not going to
3 in
oppose that.
favor and 2 absent. And I mentioned before that I'm going to recuse myself from this next one because my daughter is on this list. So I'm going to let Dick take over.
Okay.
So this is 4E, request from the town clerk, Kristen Stinson, to appoint the following individuals as election workers with terms to expire June 30th, 2027.
And Jake volunteered to read the names.
I did not volunteer, but as the clerk, I get that distinction.
If you get tired, I'll help you out.
Yes. I apologize in advance for messing up some names, but I'm used to it as my name gets butchered most of the time. So we will begin. The election workers, the term set to expire June 30th, 2027. Doris Pecor, Marilyn Simmons, Paul Trial, Marjorie Pavo, Amy Lawton, Karen Weimister, Gail Varney, Stephen Anderson, Barbara Marcotti, Claudette Bisson, Colleen Boyle, Eileen Moncrief, Almarinda Tenchera, Dennis Velozo, Ann McGuire, Mary Lou Simcoe, Merlin Tupin, Veronica Bayou, Carolyn Baker, David Valkovic, Denise Ward, Gay Gillespie, Irene Silva, Maureen Fitzgerald, Patricia Souza, Beth Kolanowitz, Jean McGuire, Diane Forti, Joan Hopkins, Janet Shop Kershaw, David Lalima, Carol Borden, Nancy Beal, John Gifford, Reginald Deschaines, Edward Reese, Suzanne Deck, DEC, Megan Schufelt, Denise Tui, Felice Michaelwitz, Diane Maynard, Arlene Bork, Carolyn Cooper, April Palomeni, Dawn Campbell, Janice Stelgis, Lisa Durames, and Ann Halterman.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion to approve these appointments.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I abstain.
So there's 2 in favor, 1 abstain, and 2 other absences.
Very good. Thank you. Anything else, Chris, while you're here? Town election, April 14.
Yep. Town election.
Town meeting, May 5.
Come on by. We'd love to see you.
Thank you.
It's too late to register now.
It is too late to register now, yes.
All right, we have a request from Caitlin Fay of the 4th of July Parade Committee to hold the annual parade.
I'm Caitlin Fay.
I'm Becky Anderson Brasels.
We're here to request to close the road for 4th of July Day Parade again this year. Same route,
Basically same as every year, right?
but it's the 250th, so yeah, go all out.
So we'll close the roads starting at 9 at Hicks Bridge.
Stay off of Hicks Bridge.
No, we're gonna
Just
be
saying.
up Hicks Bridge. This end of Hicks Bridge.
Main
and then
road.
we'll-
I know.
Main and Hicks Bridge will close at 9, and then we'll proceed up the route. We'll start the parade at 10. And then we usually finish at the old high school around 11:45.
Okay. All right, any questions?
No, it's the same. We like this event.
Okay, it's a great event.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 3 in favor and 2 absent.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I know it's the, what
Go ahead.
is, I would be interested on the behalf of listeners, what is the address to send checks to in support of this parade?
PO Box 12,
12.
Westport,
02790?
02790.
Okay.
And the only other thing we're gonna ask the board is if, in past years, you guys have funded the police department for our details, because we have to have the detail officers. We're hoping that you guys will continue doing that for us.
I think we could do
That
that.
was assumed in the motion.
That's what we've been doing for the
Yeah,
past several years, right?
Yeah,
Yes. Just-
definitely.
Do we need to vote on that separately?
I would make a motion for it.
Okay.
Okay, so moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 3 in favor and 2 absent.
Watch our social media, because we'll start putting stuff up tonight for the parade, and we'll see everybody there.
Yep.
Thank you.
you.
Walking for doing that.
Thanks.
The next item, we have a request from Kevin Kurt to allow seasonal East Beach trailers to occupy sites starting on April 24. Welcome, Mr. Kurt.
So the request, which we do each year, to try to move units in a little bit earlier than the May 1st seasonal trailer permit allows, in an effort to help alleviate traffic and take some stress off the people that are moving the units up and down. Because when you get some weekend traffic, it can become cumbersome and a little bit of a challenge for them to do what they need to do and do it safely.
Okay. So we routinely change the date that we have move in. This is rather earlier than we normally do, but it's the previous weekend is what you've got. Yeah.
Madam Chair, this is a routine request, and I think it's in the best interest of safety to do it this way.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 3 in favor and 2 absent. There you go.
Thank you.
Enjoy. I hope for good weather for you.
Me as well.
Thanks, Cal.
The next item we have is a request from the Westport Macklemore Parent Teacher Organization, the WestMac PTO, to hang a banner promoting the Tough Kids Challenge from May 3rd to May 17, 2026, and to waive the banner permit fee. Do we have anyone here for that?
Hello, good evening. My name is Kristen Wiley. I'm the president of the WestMac PTO. I think we have generally made this request for the last few years. We had a little break last year, so we're hoping to get right back into it this year. We usually do it in June. This year, because of participation last year, we're hoping we get a little bit better participation in May, although then we realize it's the same weekend as the marathon. So we will overlap that, but our hope is that we'll still bring in a greater participation than June. June was getting tough with graduation and end of the year stuff for the school, so hopefully this is more beneficial. The time I think was the 2 weeks before. We don't necessarily need it for the full 2 weeks, but I think that's what we've generally done.
So Carl, have you taken over the coordinating the banners, or is it, okay. So we have a number of, yeah, okay, so we can work with Carla to get the specific dates, but, and I didn't know we had a banner permit fee that we charged people.
It came up.
I recently found out that we didn't have one, but it was on the agenda.
Okay, all right, so, but the request is to be able to hang the banner and waive the fee.
Yes.
All right, any questions?
Just a quick question. When is the event and where is it located?
May
Where-
17th.
It is
and
May
it's at the old high school.
Okay.
In the back.
Thank you.
A motion to approve, Madam Chair?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 in favor and 2 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a request from the Westport 250 Committee to hang a banner over May Road from mid-May to mid-July.
A lot of banners.
Got a lot of banners going. We'll get the Tough Kids Challenge will come down and the,
That's not a bad, that's a sign. Thank you. I hope you remember I was here a little over a year ago talking about encouraging interest in the nation's 250th celebration, and you gave us your support, and we went ahead and had great conversations around the community with a number of communities. We were even recorded on local YouTube. Much too long a conversation, but it was great, and people are taking their own initiative, coming up with ideas. What we would like to do is ask for your permission and support to put a banner across the road. The date that's listed, we really would like April. We'd like Patriots Day as a point, because events have started. Concerts on the Point had a wonderful a cappella concert last week. On Friday before that, the Council on Aging had Abigail Adams in town, and it was really nice to meet her after all these years. We expect to have a number of events. Our role as a working group in the community is to promote interest, to encourage organizations to collaborate, to promote just the reality. We've created a website. We have a logo, which is on the floor there, which we think speaks very clearly. We have had support from your members who to make sure that things can really continue to happen in a way that allows all the people in the community to know about it. One of the worst things is to learn a week after that you didn't get to go to something that you wanted to go to. And I think more and more events will be building. So we'd like to see the banner that we've created across the road in April, as close to the Patriots Day time. Take it down. We're very flexible. We are basically a thread that we hope feeds through the summer and into the fall to keep people reminded and refreshed that it isn't just one day. There'll be events through the summer, different organizations. Our website, westportmass250.com, has a lovely calendar that's beginning to fill up. We've asked organizations to provide graphics so that people can go and look at it. And I think the banner hopefully will encourage people to take a look if they're thinking of something they want to do. And individual organizations need to have space to put up a banner themselves. So we'd like some flexibility on being able to maybe have it up for a while, put it up a little later in the summer. We can work with the men that hang it. We can work with the staff here to find times, because I know you're very busy right now, getting lots of requests. So I didn't come with a specific date unless, except to correct the date that's listed on the posting tonight. But if there is a possibility to have it up around Patriots Day, I think it's very fitting to do that. So I can go back and find out later, but right now, my biggest request is for you to give us permission to be hung between the trees or between the telephone poles or whatever it is. And support the fact that Massachusetts, Westport, Massachusetts is celebrating the 250th. Let me just also throw in, because we're getting more news on this, the schools have been really excited about the fact that Abner Brunel brought news about the battle. Some of you have heard about it. The Historical Society is going to provide the opportunity for kids to learn. It's our Paul Revere. So we have been working with the schools. We're going to have a reenactor come in costume. We hope to get a writer. We're still working a little on that. It'd be great fun to grow up in Westport and say, I remember when the horse brought the news. So we're really excited. The schools have been wonderful. They're going to have a parade. You're going to hear more about it. It's not our doing, it's the schools. But again, people have to know this possibility to work together to have a whole wide community spirit of all of these events, because we'll own them all. And that's good. So that's why I'm here.
All right, so the website is Westport MA250.
There happens to be more than one Westport. I think.
Well, you said Westport, Mass. I was Westport MA.
MA250.com.
Right, okay.
Can I hold this sign up? Sure. Can you
Well, you have to ask.
I'll take it.
Ask,
I'll ask Valerie.
Put it up in front of you.
just put it in, like, hold it Put it on the table.
The banner that goes across the road will have this much smaller, but this is basically telling what we're all about, celebrating our past, inspiring our future. Okay?
All right. Okay, any questions?
The only question I have is, Carla, there is overlap with that other Tough Kids Challenge. Is there more than one banner that goes on Main Road sometimes? Right?
There's
Yes.
Numerous?
two, but
Okay.
then I think the markets are also going to want.
No, the farmer's market
Yeah.
stuff.
I'm happy to work with staff around dates. You know,
Okay.
we don't have a specific date for a program. We just want to make sure that we are able to promote that it's ongoing throughout the year
Okay.
or into the fall. But if April has a possibility, and we still are just getting started, I'd love to be able to do it in April. It's when the horses ran, you know, the fight began. Have I gotten your support?
Motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so it's 3 in favor and 2 absent. Thank you, Irene. Thanks for putting all that together. I know it's a lot of work. Relatedly, we have a request from the Shallop Planning Committee to approve a commemoration of Revolution 250 event at the Packatuck Inn on August 15 and 16 from 11 to 3, and to hang a banner 1 month prior to the event. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you very much for having us.
So I'm Betty Slade. I'm co-chair of the Shallop Planning Committee. It's just a private group of 20 of us who are working in Nantucket, Cuttyhunk, Peyton-Aram, the Community Boating Center, and Clark's Cove, and Westport. And there's Gay Gillespie, who is the port captain for Westport. Each port has to have a captain that runs everything, so she's the one who's running this. So I gave you some information that was for your own interest about what the event is, and could we say something about it? Would you be interested? Do you have time?
Can you tell us a little bit about the event and what you're asking for?
Okay, so we're basically asking for your approval to have events at the point during the time that the Shallop will be in Westport. This is the Mayflower to Fuller Shallop. It will be captained by the captain of the Mayflower with the crew. And they will be representing the time of the Mayflower, 1620. They will be in period dress and be available to talk to people, and people will be able to see the Shallop itself. And that'll be here the 15th and 16th of August. And we will have an event we'll have events between 11 and 3 those 2 days. And so we're basically asking that we close the road to the traffic that's going to be coming to that event, and they will be given parking spots at 1839 Main Road. And we will have a police detail there who will make sure that the other people who live there, who work there, who are going to the Oyster Bar, they can all go through. But the people who are going to the event will be given transportation from the parking spot down to the point. Okay? So those are 2 days. And we've talked with the police. I don't know if they've talked to you about it, yes? But
We spoke to Lieutenant Mello, who
Yeah.
was very much in favor of it. Our biggest concern is safety for everybody during the entire 2 days. So we've said 2 days of them contracted for, 10:30 till 4 o'clock, that they would be there monitoring parking. And then we have a stable of volunteers that will be there to help with directing people and guests. The Council on Aging is donating their van. We have to confirm that, but that has been a discussion with Beverly. I'm hoping she may still be here, or just on the edge of coming or going. Not sure of her schedule yet.
that's a weekend too, Saturday and Sunday.
So it's a weekend in the summer, so it's likely to be very disruptive to the area down
Right.
there, right? So
Right.
particularly the business that's down there. So you have the Westport Sea Farms down there, right?
Correct,
And then you have
yeah.
Packatuck. So Packatuck is participating in these.
Yes.
Packatuck has given us the access to their site for the full 3 days. The Shallop will be coming in. They're sailing in on Thursday afternoon, and they will be docked over at the Packatuck. And the events will be held on her premises under a tent that we are providing, and we have porta-johns ordered for that. And then the shuttle service will be bringing visitors to the event. Through, residents will have access for through traffic, as would the Sea Farm people. And they've got their parking spaces.
And the
I'm assuming the
fishermen.
parking spaces would not be taken up by.
So you're going to have
by our
people down there
guests.
monitoring, make sure people.
Yes.
are not
Oh, yeah,
parking there
definitely.
to-
And we're trying to work out with one of the other people down there that has quite a large parking area, that we could possibly put handicap parking, because that's important to be able to provide, and also perhaps for press. We have a large press corps coming from Boston and Providence to cover this the first day. And the most exciting thing of all is we're going to be hosting a film that's being done by a woman named Anita Allison, and she is doing a film about Paul Cuffey's life when he was 17, 18, running these barricades during the Revolution. And it's going to premiere Thursday night at the Whaley Museum, and then we'll have it available for people to see at the Paquachuk on the Saturday and Sunday, as it will also be available in Cuttyhunk and Nantucket. So
The purpose of this originally, it was David's idea, that we will be commemorating Paul Cuffey, who was our own Paul Cuffey's running of the blockade to take supplies to Nantucket, which was neutral in the war and which actually was on the verge of starvation. So we're actually covering that path that he took. So that's how it all began.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so I guess just for the purpose of this evening, and based off the information we received when we put this on the agenda, you know, it would just be my recommendation that, at least for tonight, maybe the board would want to consider just the banner application piece of it. I think because we really haven't gotten that right up, and I also think just because of the scale of this event, it might be helpful for the board to see a map of the activities and just the areas impacted. Just because I don't have anything in writing from the police department, and I would just want to make sure that was reviewed on my end.
So we don't have, yeah, so we don't have a police recommendation.
We do not.
And then and you're not asking for the road to be closed.
No.
It's not like you're,
We're just diverting the people who are coming to the events to park at 1839 Main Road, and we have vans to take them down. The road is not closed at all. The police said that we could not close the road. It was very clear. We didn't ask that.
you just close the road for the parade.
No,
I
no.
want to make sure, okay.
Well,
So there'd still be the parking that's very limited anyway for
Yes.
the Sea Farm. And, you know, many of those people go right up on the legal side of parking, which is on the east side, you know, all the way up. And they can park, and the residents who live there, of course, can park down there. But our guests that would
And the
be coming-
fishermen.
And of course, the fishermen. Our guests would not be coming down there. They would be shuttled.
We've coordinated with the harbor master also.
Okay. Do you have a question?
No, I think what we hear about will be traffic and parking, so I think those are the biggest concerns. Obviously, you guys seem to have addressed this. I think if there's, as Chris said, maybe a little bit more detailed plan, like are you going to have volunteers at the top of Hotel Hill to direct them where to park?
Of course.
And that sort of stuff, because I think we'll get some concern with parking, but I mean, it'd be a great event, and I think you've already kind of laid it out. You're already paying for a police detail for 2 of the days. You have a parking location, just maybe if it's a little bit more specific, so we can at least give us some
Definitely.
coverage.
Sure.
Oh, sure, definitely.
So the banner,
And the banner would be the traditional size. I left my estimate from Signature Signs at home, but I want to say it's rather traditionally like 4 by 40 or 10 by 40, the normal size of the banner.
All right, so,
the one that's out there now.
Like the ones that are out there,
Yeah.
like farmer's market.
I have a lifted pickup truck. If we get any more banners, I won't be able to go on the main road.
so Carla can coordinate the banners, because like you just heard, we just did the Westport 250 banner. We have some, but this is August.
Shellstock is also happening
Shellstock.
on Saturday, the same day.
Oh, Shellstock is the
Yes.
same
Same
day?
day?
Saturday, it's on the Saturday, yes.
You didn't coordinate that well with the harbor master then.
They didn't.
He knew.
All right, so, Chris, you're recommending that we could entertain the banner placement, but that wait for a police recommendation for the.
That would be my recommendation, yes.
Okay.
So what would you like us to do?
So following this meeting, off call, reach out, just a bullet point, get you in touch with the police department so we can get a recommendation for the next meeting. And then, similar to what Jake was saying, just maybe an event plan as to where people would be posted and or if
Okay.
there's a map, if it's
Sure.
across multiple
If
areas.
you're having, I was worried about, because the septics down there have a problem, so it sounds like you've already taken care of that.
You have porta potties, right?
We're bringing a handicapped accessible
And then I
porta
think
potty.
also where's the Packagek has an alcohol license, right?
Yes.
But it's contained to a specific area, so that would be another one
Yes.
where it could, alcohol.
The events are taking place on their property, but we don't have alcohol.
But I don't think, so there's no alcohol for your.
No alcohol.
But that's something I would want to see on the map, like where their alcohol serving stops.
And the shallop will be on their dock, on the Packwachuck dock.
Oh, it's on that, okay.
Yeah.
It's on their dock.
There will also be another boat. It's, as you saw in a sardine. It's a sardine boat. It is a 1941 boat that was built by the Underwoods in order to fish, to get food for the military. And one of the residents of Dartmouth, he's on Horseneck, he's almost Westport, has had it restored. And it is going to be the boat that the crew will live on the whole time. And we're going to have a documentary starting from the very beginning, and the documentarian is going to be sailing on that boat too. So it'll be there. It's a 70-foot boat, but the harbor master thinks that it can fit in there. But that's not part of the shallop.
I do want
Tour.
to just add, though, that we've been working closely with both Bill Chase and Rick. I always, Rick Smith?
Rick
Yep.
Smith. Yep.
Yeah, and they're very much in favor of all of this. Their concerns, that they gave us early on. We met with all of the abutters very early on, just to let them know what we were doing, and they all were very much in favor of it. Sea Farms, we were hoping that maybe we could use their area to tie up to, because, they really did not want that, but they were all in favor of this event happening. So
We won't
we're
block
just trying
their
to-
traffic.
Yeah, we're just.
It'll bring
trying
them
to
more
work that
business,
plan.
actually.
It'll bring them more business, actually, because we're not serving food. We're going to serve water, and I think the Point Church is going to do a fundraiser selling cookies.
Yeah,
So-
I think the Point Church is going to have like desserts or something, and then
Something-
possibly something at the church.
And maybe have the church open to look at, because they're raising money to do their big restoration of Elland Hall. So-
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
So I think you guys have addressed everything. It's just in the document. Because
Okay.
I think there'll be people concerns, like the chair brought up with the alcohol and all, and, volunteers. And it simply just a map, volunteers, what you've already laid out to us, just so that we
Sure.
get that detailed
Sure.
description
No
and can share that with others. Because I think you've already kind of covered all the points, even on the septic issue with the porta potties that'll be there and all that. So I don't think there's much work to be done. You just,
So would you like us to come back then, when we've got this all together, to come back
Next
on the
meeting?
agenda?
Next,
Well, I
That's
think,
your-
well, I don't want to
that's
say
your
next meeting.
Well, I mean,
we-
we need a motion one way or that, if we
come
can
back next
move to
meeting.
approve it now, or we can wait and just approve the banner, or we can just ask them to come back. Like,
Well, the town administrators recommended we just do
Yeah,
the
the
banner
banner.
thing
Do the
tonight.
banner
and Come
tonight.
back and
and then you can come back.
tie up any loose ends, I guess. Is that all right?
Is that enough time to get a police record? Because the next meeting is 27th,
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
just 3 weeks, that's
So-
enough time.
we can do that.
Chris, you're going to talk to Lieutenant Mello, or do you want me to call him and ask him to send you something? Because
We'll send a request over,
Okay, great.
and then just any additional documentation you have prior to the next meeting, which is the 27th.
Okay.
Obviously, we'll share that with the board as well.
Okay.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve the banner?
motion to approve the banner.
Second?
And that's coordinating with Carlos, so,
Yes.
okay. All in favor?
All right.
Aye, that's 3 in favor and 2 absent.
Thank you.
Thank
Great,
you.
thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Captain.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it. The next item we have is a request from Wendy Henderson to approve 4 Hicksbridge landing permits for Dharma Voyage non-resident rowers. Is there anyone here to talk about that?
Wendy is here.
Wendy's back there.
Wendy's here.
Hi, good evening.
Wendy Henderson here to representing Dharma Voyage this evening for a request in the past, I guess, probably 10 years. We used to get 4 passes from the selectmen, and a couple years ago, we started paying for those 4 passes for our out-of-town rowers. We have some out-of-town Dartmouth, mostly Dartmouth and Little Compton and Tiverton, I guess, rowers that can't go to the office and purchase passes. So we try to facilitate that by purchasing a few passes for these guests. And then we trade them in, they put them back, they get them out of a bin, they put them back in the bin at the end of their row, and they're available for the next rowers. That's, I guess, what I have to say about it. If anybody has any questions, I'm here to answer them.
So this is pretty standard. This is same request we've been, we haven't had any problems in the past with any of
No,
them.
not that we're aware of.
Okay.
I would move approval, Madam Chair.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 3 in favor, 2 absent. Thank you.
Good, okay, very good, thank you.
Have a great season.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have a request to approve the Director of Senior Services job description and posting. Chris?
Yes, so over the last number of months, I know that the Council on Aging Advisory Board has been working diligently to make recommendations to look at this job description. Obviously, with our director's upcoming retirement, it's timely that we take a look at this. The last time that the job description was updated was 2014. So anytime we are re-advertising, it's a good practice to take a look and make sure that what we have written down meets the needs of the department today. So based on the input of the COA Advisory Board, as well as the director of that department, I also took a look at the job description, what was in place, what was being recommended, as well as some other job descriptions for other directors around the state at this point. Based on my findings, before you this evening is a draft job description, or I should say updated draft job description for your consideration. Like I said, it incorporates many of the recommendations that were provided by our stakeholders. And, pending your approval, we'd, finalize actions with the Personnel Board before posting. So happy to answer any questions on the specifics here and go from there.
So you've highlighted the position grade, so you want to talk a little bit about why you've highlighted that?
Absolutely. So for the town of Westport, we have a classification and compensation plan that all of our employees are placed on. That plan is based off of the job description. So obviously, because it has been significantly changed, it re-warrants a regrading of the description just to make sure that we are posting it in accordance to our grading methodology.
And what's the process for regrading it?
So that is something where, following the board's approval, finalizing the language here, that would be forwarded along to the Personnel Board, and I would work with them to confirm its grade and then post it from there.
So what you're looking for today is for us to approve the job description if we have any updates or whatever.
That's correct.
And then to direct you to work with Personnel Board for the grading, the classification.
Yes, and then if the board is also amendable to approving the posting of the job description as well, again, based off of what the findings are with the Personnel Board, that would be it for this evening.
Okay. And so I know you've gone through several iterations of this, and you've gotten comments from, like you said, from the current director, and then from people representing the Council on Aging.
That's correct.
Had a chance to weigh in, and then you've reviewed it with other, and compared against some other posts from other similar positions.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. All right. Yep.
Madam Chair, if through the chair, I'd like to ask the town administrator what is the authority, would you clarify the authority, when we talked about this a little bit, of the Personnel Board as respects this particular job description?
Yes. So as it's written in our personnel bylaws right now, there is a lot of nuance to this. So this is a contract position So as a contract position, the job description itself is under the discretion and the decision-making of the select board. Unlike some other non-union, non-contractual positions, which have been under the personnel board. Now, when it comes to the compensation of it, it is really set, through the personnel board based off of the town's approved classification and compensation plan. So that's something that, in the past, that function has been delegated to the personnel board to do. So, again, when you look at the grading of the position, it's really based off of what you see here. And obviously, there's the scoring methodology based on, a number of criteria, but that would be the delineation of responsibilities.
So to follow up on that, what would be the specific product of the personnel board?
So.
Back to us at a future meeting, I guess.
Yeah, so the product, which really is just that highlighted section, is, all the positions we have on a grade. From our, recording clerks all the way up to my position. And so what they would do is essentially go through, review the updated job description, and reaffirm or set what that grade would be for when we post the job. And so the grade is essentially, that pay range, based off of the responsibilities of the job description. And obviously, the grade itself, it's clustered with positions of similar responsibility and authority. So, at this tier, you see a lot of department heads or division heads, within the town.
So, and one other follow-up. So then when it comes back to us, it would be graded, and there could be other changes in there, perhaps. We're going to make some changes tonight, maybe, that be passed on to the next draft for the personnel board to review, I suspect. And then that would come back to us again another time for final review.
I don't think we're asking for them to review our job description. We're in charge of the job description.
Yeah, so the personnel board really has no discretion on the job description piece of
Okay.
it. So what we send them is what they're going to act on from the grading scale. I'll note, obviously if there's suggestions or changes tonight, we can make those. Certainly if the board, after the personnel board takes their action, if you want to see it again, happy to bring it back to show you what that, came out, that discussion was. If the board is comfortable with me just proceeding with the personnel board and posting it after the fact, I would inform the board as well. Just, it wouldn't be as an agenda item. It would just be as part of my regular updates to the board.
Okay. It is nuanced.
It is nuanced.
Madam Chair, just a question. So if this, in the current environment now, because I know there's a warrant article for the Personnel Board, but if this goes to the Personnel Board and they do see changes they want to make in that job description, can they do that? Or?
No. They have no purview over the job description.
They could ask us to change it.
They could ask,
They
come
could,
back.
they could, if they felt strongly about something, they could ask us to reconsider the job description, right? But, which would be trickier once you've posted it, probably, depends on how material it is.
So the position grade is what is going to determine the salary or the salary range that we will post it at? Is that how that's going to work?
Yeah, so it's a range. Now, obviously, when it comes to any single position, when you get applications in, that's really going to guide you in terms of, where within that range it would fall. But to answer your question, yes.
Okay.
That's how that piece of it would be set. And that's, that is really just based off of the set criteria that the town has adopted.
Just one more question. And my only concern with that is obviously it's difficult in the environment, what the market rate is and what Westport will pay to replace someone such as Beverly, with her kind of expertise and kind of the grant ability that she has to bring stuff in for the Council of Aging. So I'm just a little concerned about, how that salary will get structured and who will be able to get to, to replace that. I think the Council of Aging is a very important piece of the community, and I'm afraid that salary range maybe have to be inflated somewhat, but we'll see.
And just on that note, definitely understand, and, within this market, I think, the study that was done, it's a good study.
Okay.
It's a good methodology. The board does have flexibility when the time comes. Obviously, I'll be able to give you advice and recommendation on that. But I think from a pay scale piece of it, obviously, when you look at a classic comp plan, there is the market, but then there's also the internal equity piece of it. So you want to make sure from a grading standpoint, it's placed accordingly on the scale.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
This is really more of a personal question. I'd worked on drafts of this at the behest of the Council on Aging in my role as liaison to the Council on Aging. And I think this is a greatly improved product. I have a couple of thoughts, but they're not large. But where did this one, was there a draft that led to this one, or was this a brand-new draft?
So my understanding, and I know this is a conversation you would know better in terms of the timeline, I believe there was discussions on this beginning last fall from the original current draft from 2014. To my knowledge, there was a couple different iterations done through the Council on Aging. I know there was discussions with the Council on Aging board in terms of updates on it. And that is, from that draft is what this was based off of, in addition, obviously, to, my own research.
Yeah, it looks like it captured a lot of what was in the other drafts.
Yes.
In a pretty nicely organized way, but I was just curious as to how that evolved.
Yeah.
Because where I left off was really a rough-looking draft. I mean, like, real seriously rough.
Yeah.
And then this is what I saw after that, and it was good to see this because it really had it pretty well organized and written.
Yeah.
In a very readable way.
Well, thank you.
But I just wanted to get some background on how that.
Did you have any changes or
Yeah.
anything that you noticed?
Well, suggestions. There aren't many. The first thing I need to point out is that we use the term Council on Aging Advisory Board. Now, there really is no place where that appears, okay? We talk about the Council on Aging. So there's a Council on Aging set or defined by the state. But in conversation, and this has always caused me a confusion as to, because I was using the word Council on Aging simultaneously or the same as the senior center.
Yeah.
So we call it and we talk about it as an advisory council and remind ourselves, consistent with the guidance from the state, and there's a separate section, thought I had it here somewhere, but it's online and it comes from the state's Council on Aging. It's sort of like the guideline, like a master plan. It's got good material in it. But that's pretty clear as to what the council is and who they are and what they do. And then we have the Director of Senior Services. And then we have the Senior Center. All of these terms have been used interchangeably along the way. This, I think, pretty much clears that up, but I do think the Council on Aging Advisory Board language should be taken out because it doesn't really exist. It's really just descriptive terms to talk about how or what the mission of the Council on Aging is, which is advisory to the Executive Director. So that's my first recommendation. I think everything else works. In other words, Director of Senior Services, there was one draft which had two titles. It was Director of Senior Services, and there was another one too, I don't recall, but there were two.
I believe it was Council on Aging Director, I think.
Yeah,
was the
something
other
like
one,
that.
yeah.
So this, I think, cleans that all up. Council on Aging, the words themselves, I think, are pretty close to the intended meaning by the legislation and the guidance into that one piece of legislation that doesn't really say a lot. It just says we can have the authority to set it up, but how we set it up and what we do is pretty much up to us. Then there are a couple of other areas. Well, one thing that needed to be clarified, and I think this does it, was who reports to who, and what are the rules. So the director reports to you, and no one else. the council is not like a real board of directors. I used to mistakenly talk about the Council on Aging as a board of directors, which it is not. It doesn't have a board of directors. It has a council that is advisory, but not like it doesn't administer salary. Makes recommendations to you, I guess, and ultimately to us. So as I read through this, I was trying to make sure, to the best of my ability, that they all line up properly. Like, for example, Council on Aging Advisory Board is mentioned early in the document, then pretty much near the end, towards supervision, it brings it up again, serves as a liaison to the Council on Aging Advisory Board. It should just said Council on Aging. That's what it is. That's the only one. And there is no other board of directors.
Right.
So you're recommending that where the places where it references Council on Aging Advisory Board, just to strike advisory board?
Yeah, because it,
But I see the reason, I can see the reason why they did it is because there's the Council on Aging, the board, and then there's the Council on Aging, the physical location that people talk about, right?
The department. Yeah.
Right, the department.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
yeah, and it is, in the literature that you find online from the state, it mentions the fact that this board serves in an advisory capacity. So it's not heresy to mention it, but it really doesn't have a title.
I believe the title board came from the general bylaws.
Right.
You know, and I think from the earlier working drafts that I more or less brought over to this draft, you know, it references, and I think my understanding from those earlier drafts is what they wanted to emphasize exactly what you're saying, that it is, you know, an advisory relationship to that director position versus one that, you know, is supervisory, like you're saying, they're serving as the board of directors. So I can certainly take that wording out and just, you know, say Council on Aging, however you.
Yeah, that would
see
do it. I
fit.
mean, these are not major
Frame it.
changes. It's only mentioned
Of course.
2 or 3 times in here. And senior center is appropriately described. And then the relationship between the director, the Council on Aging with the so-called advisory board, and you is defined. The one thing I was also sensitive toward, and I think it's been cleaned up, is to be sure that this position is not a grant writing position per se. The person in charge of the council, of the senior center, the director of senior services, has as one of the functions, and a very important one, as we know, overseeing the grant writing process and delivery of grants. And I think that's mentioned in here correctly, but there was some, in the earlier drafts, it was like the director was tasked with being a grant writer himself or herself, which is nothing wrong with that, but that isn't the job. We're not hiring a grant writer, we're hiring a leader who will make sure, and might even have a person that he or she would hire to do grant writing, or either on a full or a part-time basis. So I think that's pretty good in here now. When I first looked at it, I wasn't quite sure, but I think it's, like it says, oversees grant identification, application, administration, and compliance requirements. So that to me grabs the managerial aspect of that and not the doing of it. But there's no prohibition against the director, if that person has skills in this area, as the one who holds the position now does, then that should be employed. So I think we're getting there here. And that's all I would have to say. I don't think I didn't highlight anything other than that. It's actually pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so I think the concerns that you were talking about the supervision, so it does say, appointed by the select board, the director works under the general direction of the town administrator, maintains a collaborative working relationship with the select board and the Council on Aging.
Period.
Yeah. So I think that covers that, and then you just mentioned the grant identification part, and then I think the only change then you're recommending is the removing the advisory board reference.
Yeah, it's okay to have
Yeah.
wording here that says the Council on Aging serves in an advisory capacity.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. And I think it does somewhere in here, but anyway, I think that does it from my standpoint. Other than that, I think it's
Okay, so
pretty good.
You're closer to it than do you want to make a motion to approve the job description pending that change and the personnel board classification?
I'm willing to make that motion, but I know we have people in the audience who've worked on this. And
Should we talk about it first?
It might be good to do that and get that input as well, because I'm sure I missed something.
Okay.
There's a lot of words here.
All right, so is there, and did you have anything else? Jim?
Nope.
All right, anything from the public?
Good evening. My name is Lisa Feidelberg Costa. I have a couple of questions with regards to the job description. The job description that is before you, this is actually the first time that we're seeing this as board members. This was not the original one that we all received in our last meeting, and it was so diligently brought up to us that it needed to be turned over to the Personnel Board by February 1st. So we've never gotten a copy of this revised document. We did have questions as board members that we wanted to address, which were never answered. And then we figured there was such a race to judgment in being to the Personnel Board by the 1st that we would then have an opportunity to discuss it. So now we're seeing a total different job description that we just received today, which is different from the last one that we received. So we, in essence, have the one that Beverly was originally hired, and then we had one that was being worked on by the board, which is the Council on Aging Board, or Advisory Board, if you will. And then the last one is totally brand new. We've never seen this before. So it was not given to us prior to this meeting. We got it by accident because we asked for a copy of it at the town hall. So we think that that's a disadvantage because we haven't had a chance to even look at it. And then also, based on my interpretation of Article 25, the way it reads right now, is that my understanding is with Article 25 that we do oversee, or when anything has to do with the job description, it does go to the Personnel Board. Although if it's a union or non-union or contract, we don't make any decisions when it comes to monetary values. The ultimate decision is, in fact, with the Select Board. We only make recommendations. But as far as job descriptions, all job descriptions, it's considered classification. And I got that from an attorney that represents, just so that I could understand it. So unless we make an amendment to the Article 25, the way 25 sits right now, it's supposed to come to the Personnel Board. Now, I was just recently appointed to the Personnel Board, and so I haven't been to a meeting, so I don't really, I've not had the privilege of seeing how the protocol goes, but I wanted to learn about how the protocol is actually defined. And I don't take a seat on a particular board just to fill a seat. I want to be able to participate, and be well-rounded and understand the function of that position so that I can be an asset to that board. Not to cause any issues or problems or anything like that. The town of Westport is always looking for volunteers. And I think it's important that when someone wants to do good, that just because they're asking questions, it's a negative response. And I don't think that's fair. So I would request that we don't do anything until all the parties are given the necessary information so that we can make an educated decision, all feel that we're all being heard, and then move forward. Because in emails that we received prior to, everything had to be done by February 1st for the Personnel Board, and it never went to the Personnel Board. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you. So, so the town administrator described the process here. So the Select Board is responsible for the job description. The fact that we're seeking input from other agencies is at our discretion, right? So certainly we got input from the Council on Aging. We participated in with the directors. So my understanding of the role of the Select Board is that for a given job description, you're classifying it. So the classification for that job description falls in the grade, the range, the pay range that we would present. So I think that,
Well, it has nothing to do with we don't have any jurisdiction over the pay raise or the pay.
you have jurisdiction over the classification rating of the job position. So the draft, I think it says position grade 11 in the draft. Is that the current position grade of the current?
That's where it's currently at, I highlighted because it obviously.
Right, so the current job grade is 11. So what has happened is the town administrator is recommending significant changes to the job description since the 2014 classification that it was done, right? So the town administrator has recommended, you know, a different job description. And so it's the role of the personnel board to say, okay, given this job description, this is the grade level it should be at, because we've made significant changes, so is it still the same grade, or is it different, right? So the contract for the employee, the salary for the employee, the job description for the employee is under the purview of this board. The personnel board would be handling the classification of the job position.
Okay. So with that being said, does the Council on Aging Board or their advisory board make recommendations based on the job description, where we're only seeing this for the first time today?
So we took the input from the Council on Aging's.
Not on this.
Not on this version, okay,
Correct.
so there's a matter of like how many drafts can you have going around, right? So you heard Mr. Brewer talk about this is a significantly different description than what was seen before in a draft, right? But it appears to have taken the input from the other discussions that were happening, right? So, I mean, this board can decide to refer it and wait for comment from other people. So that would be a valid outcome of today's meeting, is to refer it to someone else. But I do want to be careful that we're protecting the roles and responsibilities correctly. It is our responsibility to set the job description. It is the personnel responsibility to set the rating, the classification that should go with the job description. So if the board members feel like they need more information or they need other input, it's possible that you'll find something that would say, oh, wait, this would be, 3 job levels higher if we included this amount. If we included this particular thing, it would be way higher, and do you really want to do that, right? So if that is a possible outcome of a classification hearing, is that you'd find that maybe one of our qualifications isn't right, or one of the responsibilities isn't quite right. So I think it's possible that the personnel board could influence it, but you also have to draw a line somewhere. So can you just talk about, do you have any comments? Just reflections of what I just said.
Just a couple things. One is, I want to commend the Council on Aging for the thoughtful suggestions that they submitted to us. And that's, I think, why you see a lot of those before you this evening, because there was a lot of meetings that was talked about. And obviously, I think it definitely made my job easier, right, getting that input. With regards to the draft before you this evening, I know I was the one who provided that copy earlier today, just after our department head meeting, and a copy was sent over to the chair of the Council on Aging Board with the expectation it would be disseminated to the board. Now, I don't know if they haven't had a meeting yet. With regards to the timeline on the February 1st, I know one of the discussions has been with regards to Bev retiring at the end of the summer, trying to get the posting out earlier with the idea that they didn't want to feel like there was a rush to fill the role. And also, I know that there was a desire to have some time where there was an overlap within the office. So I think the timeline or that deadline, it wasn't really coming from our end. It was more coming from, again, my understanding the board's internal, working schedule based off of when they wanted to see the position posted. Based off of it being before you now, I'm confident if this was something that the board wanted to move forward with this evening or even later this month, we'd have sufficient time to post the job, conduct interviews ahead of Bev's upcoming retirement at the end of the year. But, that's my level of involvement. And like I said, I really was appreciative of the comments that were submitted, and I felt like they were captured in the draft there before you this evening, so,
Thank you.
yeah.
Muriel Kokoska. What I want to ask is, why did everybody hide that they were doing a new thing, and our board members did not know anything? And I only by accident found out, because I came here, I'm the treasurer of the board, I came here for
I'm sorry,
my
which board are you talking about?
Council of Aging.
Okay.
I came for the reports, to do my treasurer's report for the board, and I asked for a copy of the job description and was flattened when found out it was altogether different. So why wasn't the advisory board told anything about it?
So can you talk about the communications you had with the Council on Aging?
Yes, so I have had individual meetings with Bev. I also had back when the initial drafts were shared with me, I also had a separate conversation with the chair of the committee, met in person, coordinated over email, obviously with regards to the timeline. Prior to this meeting, provided a draft of this updated job description ahead of time, when the agenda for this meeting was posted. I'll make a note that with regards to, I guess, the overall duties and responsibilities and essential functions outlined, if the board wants to see it go back to the Council on Aging for further comment, I would have certainly sent it, but I feel that our communication has been sufficient in keeping the board in the loop and the representatives.
So Dick, you're the liaison. Can you add anything to that or anything else on the communication with the Council on Aging?
Well, I did miss the last meeting, so I don't know if there was any conversation there. I did understand that the director and the chair had reviewed there was another draft of previous drafts, and it was to say, this is the one we want to submit. I don't have that with me, but I remember seeing that. I do know there's consternation among Council on Aging members about how much input was actually reflected in this document. And I do know that they hadn't seen this before, nor had I seen it before. But having said that, I don't know if it's our role as select board members now, putting on this hat, that we should be directing or passing judgment on how the Council on Aging has its deliberations at its meetings and what they discuss and what they approve and when do they want to have more input or less input. I mean, that's not something it's not really our business. It's not even my business as the liaison. I'm there for really a different reason. So it was confusing, I would say that. And this was a surprise. I saw it as a pleasant surprise because I thought it captured, as I said earlier, a lot of the things that council members had been putting in their drafts. So I thought it was a good work product, and I thought this had the approval, or at least the sanction, of the director and the chair. So, I mean, that's where I come out on this. I don't think we should be second-guessing how the Council on Aging handles its affairs. They meet under open, they meet right here now. Their meetings are televised, they have open meeting law and agendas and follow those. So I don't have any issue with that.
So Chris, this document that we have, the one
Yes.
that I'm looking at is dated 4/6, right? So that's today. So when did this get sent over to the Council on Aging?
It was sometime last week.
Last week.
Yeah.
So what kind of impact would it have on the hiring process if we deferred a decision on this until the 27th? And I don't really want to solicit like major, I guess, to give people time to read it and have thoughtful comments about it. If we just, like, what kind of impact does that have on us if we wait until the 27th?
It'll delay, I think our intent was to try and get a posting out by the end of the month.
Well,
I think we could still meet that. I think it will just impact the back end of the overall onboarding process. So certainly we can do it and we'll make it work.
So, because I think I'd want to, at the same time, though, send this job description over for classification, because I think that's really the thing that's missing, right? Because if we wait until the 27th to update the job description, and then we have to send it to the personnel board, and then you're looking at a couple weeks there, like, I'm just wondering, I don't know, that doesn't make sense, though, to give the personnel board an incomplete job description either.
Yeah, and I'll say just, when it comes to the overall classification compensation, for minor wording changes, that won't affect the grading scale. I would say if it is, I'll call it substantial changes with regards to the duties and responsibilities, if, I'm just hypothetically, if now this position was responsible for managing an entire different division of the town, that would move the needle when it came to the scale. Minor, wording of these, different essential functions, or maybe adding a bullet point, it won't stop the progress, if this is something the board felt comfortable kind of taking that dual track with the personnel board.
Did you have more?
I have one more thing.
Go ahead.
You're missing something which is important. Under knowledge, skills, and abilities, you got ability to supervise staff and volunteers. We had ability to train and supervise, because she has to train the people who come in, the volunteers, because there's nobody there doing it. And you get a new volunteer coordinator, there's nobody else to train but her. There's only one person on each of the jobs, so she has to be the one that trains.
No problem, I appreciate the input.
Thank you.
Okay?
Go ahead.
I think the chair had a good idea. I mean, we have a 3-week window to play with now before our next meeting. So I would hope that the classification can be determined, COA can have that finalized. I think maybe you give the COA a week to go over this, then the personnel board goes over that with the finalized job description, and then, it's finalized and before us on the April, 27th?
April 27th, I think there's an April 27th meeting.
So what
But I also think we need to finalize it, because you also look at end of year, like the end of the fiscal year, sometimes you get like people looking for jobs and stuff, like, I think it's, yeah.
But I think if we have that, with that 3-week window to play with, what we get on April 27th should be the complete package. We either approve it or don't approve it, and then it could get posted on May 1, or, 4 or 5 days later. I think if that's to appease everyone, probably the best way to go, as you pointed out. And then what we have on the 27th, we either vote yay or nay. We're not making any more changes at that point, because everyone's had their say.
One comment, and then it will actually segue into the next segment. Cindy Brown, Chairman of the Personnel Board. So we have currently a meeting scheduled for April 15th, next Wednesday, to go over this, and then also to review the item for Article 25. Given the comments that were made earlier, provided there are no significant changes, we could approve a classification there pending no significant classifications, and I would leave it up to your board to determine whether or not any changes that are made would be significant or not. So I think we could move forward with that. The other thing I'm wondering now, I know that now leading into the Article 25 issue, if it's a change in class, do we need to include that in the warrant? So all the job classifications are approved as part of the personnel bylaws, so I don't know if, one thing leading before the other, if we shift over to 25, if 25 were not approved, for example, we should have had this reclassification submitted for town meeting approval, because everything is pending town meeting approval.
So within the personnel bylaw, what is in the Schedule A, and I have it pulled up right here, is the group of classifications. So
Right.
So not the grades.
Oh, okay,
the
okay,
grouping.
all
So
right.
for example, like, this is our administrative employees.
Right, okay.
Safety employees.
So it's just the grouping?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. So if there's a change within the grade, within the group, we don't have to have separate town meeting approval for that?
That's correct. So.
Okay, all right. That's what all of a sudden that occurred to me that it was like, oh, wait a minute, if we make these changes, then maybe they should have approved. But if you're saying that as long as it stays within the group, then it should be okay.
Yeah, so when it comes to the personnel bylaw, the thing that is going to change, and it's set every single year, is whatever the pay scale is for that
Right.
fiscal year. So
Right.
obviously, as we go forward, that will be adjusted accordingly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I will confirm, there was a sense of urgency back early February, and in large part that was being driven by the director to get this process moving. And we had tentatively scheduled a meeting early in February, which we ended up postponing because it wasn't ready yet. So, we're fine with that, and we'll wait to see what this job description looks like. I'll circulate it to our members, and provided there are no substantive changes post this, we should be able to meet on the 15th. And so you will have it for your next meeting, that our approval would hopefully be in place by then, along with our recommendation for Article 25.
All right, thank you.
Okay?
So I think, Chris, the direction here is that we want you to make the change that Dick mentioned about removing the advisory board reference.
Yep.
Refer this
Thank you.
job description with that change to the chairman of the council, the chair of the Council on Aging, the chair of the Personnel Board, seek their input, that we were going to make a decision on April 27.
Perfect, will do.
We don't need to vote on that, I don't think. Do we? Anybody want to add anything to that direction?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. We're kind of out of order here, but what I want to, since you guys are here and you were mentioning Article 25, I want to skip ahead to, I think this would actually be under J, to review, amend, finalize, approve posting of the warrant. So I don't want to talk about the whole thing, but I do think there have been changes to Article 25 that we wanted to talk about today. So is that all right with you guys if we bump that conversation? All right. So what version is this that I'm looking at? This is the 10th draft of the 10th draft of the warrant. Page. Sorry, I skipped too far ahead. Article 25. All right, so Article 25, to amend the personnel bylaws, the specific change in here that is the change is to replace shall be responsible for the administration of the classification and compensation plans, and instead, who shall act in an advisory capacity to the select board and town administrator on personnel-related matters upon request from either the board or the administrator. So do you want to just explain this and then how it may have changed since the last time they've seen it?
Of course. So over the last several weeks, I've been working with town council to review all the articles and make sure it's in a format that they are agreeable to, and obviously carry out the intent that I think we're trying to achieve within the bylaws. So the changes you see before you this evening expand on some of our conversations. I know in some earlier discussions, we had talked about, certain items that we would develop later on under the advice and recommendation of council. They'd like us to move those up and have those included within the warrant, just because they do want to retain some of the language within the bylaws. So, just to go over the summary of changes, as you said, this article would clarify that the select board's role would be to oversee personnel administration, provide it the ability, similar to what we do with other day-to-day operations, to delegate that responsibility to my office. Going off of some of the prior discussions we've had, We would retain the personnel board, and they would continue in an advisory capacity, and they would be able to provide input to the select board as well as myself on different personnel-related matters, whether it was a policy we were coming out with or a benefit, we'd be able to have them there as a resource. Other changes, certain procedural items under the proposed bylaw would be revised to simplify the process, reduce redundancy. So as an example, right now, if there are employee-related grievances, non-union, or not, yes, non-union, obviously as step one, we always want them to work and communicate with their department heads. The next step under the proposal would be it would come to me to add me into that workflow. And then under the proposal, the select board would serve as the final level of review and make a decision if it wasn't something we would be able to accomplish through prior discussions. The article also includes different terminology updates and structural revisions, again, just to provide consistency and clarity throughout the article. So really, as we've talked about prior meetings, these amendments are intended to really just modernize the workflow to more align with what the current practices are within our town operations today. So,
I have a question.
of course.
Because we are having a meeting coming up, and I know this question will be asked. When you talk about the future personnel board role in an advisory capacity, are there roles defined? Are there certain things that would absolutely go to the personnel board, or things that at the discretion of the town administrator and/or select board, you would seek out counsel of the personnel board? So
At the
it's-
discretion.
Okay, all right. So that's what I wanted to make clear, that there aren't any if there are set rules, what are they? If they are not, then that's fine. Okay, so it would be at the discretion.
Yes.
Okay, so there would be no defined role that we would take regarding certain matters.
No.
Okay.
No.
And as I mentioned before, Sean, I'm not sure if you were at the meeting, present at the meeting when we discussed this last time. I think this is a good thing. I mean, I think it's time that we do kind of bring this into the 21st century as far as personnel management is concerned. We're not here at Town Hall. We don't see the roles that people are filling, and I think it streamlines things tremendously to have the town administrator and the select board to be in that role. When Paula was brought over to be the assistant to the town administrator, that was also going to be an enhanced HR role, which I think will also help many of the issues that perhaps were always on the borderline as to who's going to kick this ball, So I think this is a good move. And hopefully, one last question: do you need a 2/3 vote at town meeting? Does this replace the bylaw?
It does not replace it, amends it.
It amends it. Okay, so you would still need a 2/3 vote.
I believe it's simple majority, but that's
Okay.
something we would confirm
Okay.
with council in the
All
next
right.
couple weeks on that.
Okay, all right. So I think it's a good thing.
I have to say, having served on the personnel board, I can say that even when I was on the personnel board, it was very confusing to understand the scope and authority of the board. And
Right.
frankly, I think we should have all of our employees under contracts, right? So I don't think I think they should all have employment agreements. So
Right.
then they wouldn't be in front of the personnel board anyway. But I know we haven't gotten jobs, we don't have contracts for everybody yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, police and fire chief come under the purview of the personnel board. They do not have contracts. Police and fire are not under contract. So it's annual appointment, not under contract. So oddly enough, they come under that.
Yeah, I think there must be some reason for that, because you'd think that would be.
I was surprised to find that was the case. So anyway, good.
One other note I wanted to make, because I do think it is substantive. So under the proposal, there is under section 3F, if you're looking at the draft of the classification plan, it does add in language in there that does allow the town to hire mid-year if we have funding available for a position. I know one of the things that really started this discussion, at least for my office, was our discussion with regards to potential future communications role or other role identified within the town. So this would offer the board flexibility now and again in the future. If there was funding available, we can make a hire mid-fiscal year without having to wait on those action items. So that was something that we were able to incorporate.
But I think it's also important to note that the reason that we would have had a personnel board in the first place would have been kind of protective of the employees at the time, right? So it was a way. I think I suspect this is rather old, before current employment and HR practices and laws have come into effect. But it was a way to make sure that there was a buffer between the hiring authority and the employees, so that there was a reason for the personnel.
Yeah.
board.
And I'll just.
Before unions.
It was, right, pre-union, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'll just say it from my office too. You know, obviously when we talk about human resources, that function, and obviously my level of involvement, you know, one of the hats that I wear as town administrator is the director of human resources. And the fact right now there's not a process where I'm involved in those type of, you know, grievances or concerns that are raised by staff. It's a little disjointed. So I think this, like I said, it clears it up, aligns better with how we're operating today.
All right, so is there anybody else, we're not going to make a decision or anything on this, this is just part of the warrant, but anybody have any other comments or questions before we move on from this one?
We have an opportunity at a later date to bring up other questions.
So the way that the town meeting calendar is happening, right, so we're going to close the warrant and post it, and then, because when do we have to post it? We have to post it.
So I believe the 20th, I can pull up the exact date.
Yeah, so we will.
Yeah.
It's likely that we will approve the posting tonight. We could theoretically have a special meeting before the 20th to post it. So there's no opportunity to change the warrant article as printed. It's my intention on the 27th that we make recommendations, that the select board make recommendations to town meeting. And then on the floor of town meeting, certainly there's amendments that can be made and things like that. But there's no more opportunity for input to changes on these articles. We've closed the warrant. Likely we're about to reopen the warrant for a brief period of time, but we've closed the warrant, so there's no more changes.
So explain to me the process based on, with the warrant and how the public is educated based on, because they're going to vote, correct? It's the majority vote is what you're saying, correct?
So there's the drafts of the town meeting, so we've been talking about the town meeting for multiple months now, right? And then it's been before the finance committee, so this would have gone to the finance committee meeting at some point. We've posted the drafts as we've got them along on the website. It's meetings like this is where we talk about them, right? So there hasn't, the public can go look at the draft warrant. I don't know if this is the current draft that's up there, but you'll post it. And they can be informed about it. And then on the floor of town meeting, then people have an opportunity to have a conversation.
So public can then go and have a conversation with you guys, basically, with regards to.
No, what would happen at town meeting is the public would have an opportunity to suggest amendments to the motion. So the town meeting motion will say, I move to approve this as printed in the warrant. And individuals could come up and propose amendments to that warrant, or to the article, to the motion, sorry. I feel like I'm getting a Steve Forrest flashback here. So a person at town meeting can stand up and propose an amendment to the motion town meeting would discuss and debate and vote on whether to make that amendment to the motion. And then it succeeds or fails. And then you go back to, now you have the motion, and then town meeting votes on the motion. So there is an opportunity to amend it. It is very clunky, and this is kind of late in the warrant, although it's before the zoning bylaws, so it's, I would say that the personnel board weighing in on it would be an important piece of information to town meeting. So I think it sounds like you're going to entertain that on your April 15 meeting. I think that would be important for the town meeting audience to hear what the personnel board has to say about it. Okay. All right, so now we're going to jump back to the agenda, if that's okay. Okay. So we're on H now, which is a request to open the town meeting warrant to consider additional articles. So we have two potential articles to reopen. So one is about the status of Francis Estates. Chris, can you tell us about that?
Sure. This subdivision has a fire cistern and a cemetery located within it. This article would allow the town to accept easements from the developer to the subdivision to ensure the town is able to access and use the fire cistern and access and continue to maintain the cemetery located within the subdivision. So this is something that council's been working with our planning department on. And I guess ultimately to finalize the subdivision plans, this is something that council is asking if the board would consider placing on this warrant so it doesn't have to wait until next year.
But this, so just the request here is for some easements from property.
That's correct, where the town would accept those easements.
Town would accept the easement.
To our benefit.
Is there anyone here to talk about that? No. All right, and the planning board's recommending this from a timing perspective, right? Because easements are part of property taking, or they fall under the purview of town meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Does anybody have any questions about that? I know it's kind of confusing.
I mean, I don't have a full understanding of it, so I don't really want to get, this is a proposed subdivision that is being stopped right now because of easement issues? And if these are passed, then the subdivision will move forward? Is that what?
So this is one of those elements that will ultimately hold up it being finalized from a approval standpoint. I know that there are a couple other things outstanding, but nothing that council nor the planning department see as a concern as we move ahead towards town meeting.
So,
I'm not.
yeah, I'm just reading the proposed article. So the council provided the text of the article. So it's to acquire certain parcels of land. So it authorizes the select board to acquire these easements. It doesn't require us to authorize these easements, right? So there's still some room in there. I don't think there's anything controversial here. That they have a fire cistern and a cemetery, and so that allows the town to access it. And my understanding is it's not there's no controversial in the neighbors or anything.
No. And I believe there's also a memo in your packet from the assistant town planner just giving a summary of this subdivision plan and the status of it and why it's coming up right now.
Oh, right, yeah, so Dia sent an email in here. All right, do you have concerns about putting this on the warrant?
No, not this one.
All right, so we move that we open the warrant to place this article as described by council on the end of the warrant. Don't renumber anything. Okay.
Okay.
All right, do we vote? So I need a motion for that, to add this to the warrant.
You need a motion?
You guys can move.
Does somebody want to move that?
Yeah, I'll move that, Madam Chair.
Okay. I'll second. Is there any discussion about adding it to the warrant? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose?
I want to abstain. I just don't know enough about the issue, unfortunately.
All right, so, so we have the two with one abstain and 2 absences to place this on the warrant at the end. And we should have a better conversation about it on the 27th.
I'll make a note.
All right, so then the next consideration, at our last meeting, Jake had suggested that we consult counsel for potential bylaw changes regarding removal of elected officials who are no longer performing their job. So we asked the town administrator to work with council to talk about potential options for removing an elected official from a position. And you've got a very nice summary in our packet, but do you want to just kind of explain?
Sure. So within your packet, you do have the opinion from town council as well as draft language for the different options. So let me just pull up that page right away. So the first option is special legislation to amend the recall provision. So right now, I think one of the things that was noted is our threshold is pretty high at 10%. The board would have the discretion to request a change in that amount. This would go as a article to town meeting and then up to the state for approval. So I believe council had suggested 5%, reducing it by half. And they have seen precedent in other areas of the state where they felt that the state would accept that threshold. The next few.
So, I just want to summarize. So option 1 is to change the current. So the current is currently you have to have 200 signatures to initiate.
Yes.
And 10% of the registered voters on the petition.
That's correct.
To trigger it. And so what they have suggested is that seems a little high, that we could reduce, if we wanted to, we could propose reducing the number of signatures required for the initial recall, and we could consider proposing something less than 10% of the registered voters for the petition.
That's correct.
So that's basically just a change in the numbers in our current bylaw.
That's correct.
Okay. Option 2.
Option 2 is expanding the planning board. Currently, we have 5 elected members. This would change our bylaws, again, just to expand that membership to either 7 members or 9 members, essentially, to increase the amount of people available to have quorum on different development applications. So
So it would just be a change to how many elected, instead of 5, the current 5, that we could change it to 7 or 9. They don't recommend an even number.
that's correct. Yes.
Okay, so that's a lot of language for that. But go ahead.
Option 3, this is a change within the zoning bylaws. We could add a single associate member. So in addition to elected members, this is an associate member who could be appointed for a set amount of time. And essentially, this would allow there to be someone additional, should they need to fill in if someone's unable to attend a meeting or a series of meetings, for certain development applications where you need to have a supermajority to be able to vote on matters. This would give them one additional person. And like I said, really, in the case, they're there for those special permit applications where you need to have a supermajority. The last one is another special legislation act, and this would be to allow the TAD to add 2 associate members and/or to act for all other matters. So, again, similar to the recall effort, this is something where, if the article passes, we would send this to the state for consideration. And those are the options we have on that.
Yes?
So this article is one that's being proposed this year. We would add it on.
Yes, so there's a few different options here. I mean, so we can certainly do a combination too, if that's the board's pleasure. But yes, if the board wanted to add to the warrant, we would do that.
And this is relating to the planning board only?
Yes.
I think that the option 2, 3, and 4 are specific to the planning board. Option 1 is not. So option 1 is just changing the recall position, the bylaw that we have, the numbers.
Oh.
But 2, 3, and 4 are changing in the
Okay.
composition of the planning board.
And the reason for this need?
So the reason that we wanted to talk about it in the first place is that we have a member on the planning board who's unable to serve in that capacity, and the recall process to remove that member is
Yeah. it's-
onerous.
Yes, well, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So, Madam Chair, I think of those options, I would, like you said, 2, 3, and 4 deal specifically with the planning board, where that's the specific issue that we're faced with right now. But I would lean towards option 1 with respect to, given the scenario, or if the timing was different, there also could have been there has been a vacant select board seat for some time. So I don't know if we really want to specifically address the planning board. I know we're addressing that now because 5-year terms for the planning board is sometimes long, and we're dealing with somebody that possibly has 4 years left on that role. So I know why we're looking at that planning board, but unfortunately, the recall efforts and the individual that was leading the recall efforts never followed through on the 200 signatures, but let's leave that on the table. I would think that you would want to make a change to that first one for all positions in town. Now, of course, legislators want to keep their jobs and they don't want to be easily recalled, and that's why the threshold was so high. But, you know, at least in our seats and majority of the seats, it's 3-year terms, not 5-year terms. So, you know, you're not in a situation where it could be 3 or 4 years where you don't have somebody sitting in that seat. So, to Chris's point, and I think what you pointed out with general counsel is, if you did, 100 signatures to start the recall, and then a 5% number, which would be basically 750 voters, that's still a kind of a high bar to actually get if you actually have to want to be active to get those 750. And mind you, we only have about 1,600 people that show up to vote every year anyway, active. So you're basically 50% of the active voters is who you would need to recall somebody, which if you get 50.5%, you win the election. So if you get, I would lean towards at least that one, because we don't know in the future if we're going to have another situation with another individual that may be convicted of a felony and not able to serve.
Yeah, so I also don't like the changes to the planning board, mostly, partly because I think it should be broader, because there might be other situations, but also I don't think that trying to get an article changing the personnel and changing the planning board makeup, a month before town meeting, I don't think that's like the proper consideration time to be able to even talk about whether we should do that. But I'm much more comfortable with changing the numbers that are in option 1. So like to 100, my recommendation should be to 100 and to 5%. But we don't have to include this on the warrant, but I think we should, is my opinion.
I would agree. I think there's enough public outcry for the current situation that any change to this with the article will probably, I would hope, would pass. But I think you're right. I think if you did the 100 and the 5%, I think it's enough where somebody really has to be active and really want to have to recall somebody, but it's attainable, as opposed to that 1,500 number that you would have.
Because you don't want to cause chaos, because there's a cost to elections.
Correct.
And you don't want it to be too easy, but, yeah, I think we should include it.
And at town meeting, people or residents can make their own choices if they want to change those numbers, correct? Right? They can call those out. So, I mean, I think you go with 105% and see if, we may be in a situation where it's 10 signatures and 1% will all be recalled.
Well, just regarding the planning board parts, it looks like we're reaching consensus to not deal with that at the moment. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. But I was going to ask earlier, but it was probably not important now because of the direction we might be going in, as to what is the opinion of the planning board? I don't recall them coming in here to talk about this.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything in writing from them. I mean, so I think it would be ill-advised if we did anything there. We'd want to have them in and talk about it and say, what problem are you trying to solve, and what are the reasons, and why did you come up with these recommendations? And just all that, all the things you normally have when you make a decision like this.
Yeah. I think there's just not time for that
No,
conversation.
there isn't. Yeah. Okay.
And Madam Chair, and we brought it up to have town council look at this. I think there has been discussions with planning board outside of a concern of basically being down one member, and you need supermajorities on some of these votes. And obviously with getting quorums and people traveling or on vacation or sick, it would be difficult for that planning board to meet at some time. So that's the kind of the genesis, is they're concerned, given the current situation, that even with the filling the seat in the election, that they still may have difficulty holding meetings.
I do also just want to point out, as we were talking about it, that even if this passes at town meeting, it still has to be certified and authorized. So this does not mean that anyone would be immediately removed from the position. It would still have to go through the process with, is it the Secretary of State's office or the Attorney?
Attorney General.
The Attorney General. So the Attorney General still has to, and that would take months. So just,
It wouldn't be till the end of the year.
it would probably be late in the year. If this were to pass at town meeting, it would probably be end of the year before it would actually take effect. All right, so do we want to add this to the warrant? Do we want to open the warrant and add this and
Motion to approve?
you want
I want to move.
move to open the
Yep,
warrant?
move to open the
Yeah,
warrant.
Okay. I will second that. Is there any more discussion?
This issue at the late, even though say the simpler version of what we're trying to do here doesn't involve the planning board. It seems to me that you would normally not do this without a lot of discussion ahead of time, and not, a month before or 2 months before a town meeting. So I guess I'm throwing out for discussion whether it makes sense at all to even do it now. Instead, after the town meeting, take it out of this town meeting entirely, and then have a thoughtful discussion on all the ramifications of it, maybe including the planning board or whatever. It just seems we're not really doing a lot with preparatory work on this. I mean, I haven't seen much on this except for the council's opinion, which was useful, but I'm not ready to vote on any of that, quite frankly. So
Yeah.
I guess I don't see this as being the real thoughtful process that we should employ for something as big as this, although I do see merit to it, obviously, but I'm not prepared to vote in favor of this.
And Dick, I understand your concern with that. The only reason we were looking at this is because of the time horizon right now. If we don't get it on this town meeting, then you get another year before you're able to address it. And now the planning board is really in a tough position for, I guess it would say 2 years, because then if we got it on the next town meeting and then it was 6 months. So I think it was only the concern of to try to ease their business operations for the planning board and what our options were. And that's why Chris went to council. So I think that was the only concern with, and I know they were, tried to get an individual to resign from the planning board to make things easier, and that did not go well. So I think that's what is the genesis to kind of move this thing forward to make it easier for them to do that. So, the majority of the people I speak to in town have also expressed their concerns with kind of the process, and a lot of people have talked about how the recall process is difficult. So that was really where I'm coming from with respect to this. But I understand your concerns, because it does open the door for every elected official to possibly be challenged. But
Yeah, I mean, I agree that I wish that we were in a position where we could be more thoughtful and have a longer runway here. But we also have we have an urgent problem. So I think, I don't want to really wait and not do anything until next May, and then have it take effect, in a year and a half. So, but I mean, I appreciate that it's not really the kind of thing that you'd normally want to rush.
But the problem is not our problem, it's the planning board's problem.
Well, so the problem for the constituents who need to have items that come before the planning board, right? So you have petitioners who are seeking approvals on their projects and their site plans and things like that. And if you have a planning board member that has to recuse themselves, now you're in a situation where they can't, there's certain decisions that the planning board makes that if they're missing one member, so if you only had 4 people sitting on the board, one was absent or one was, had to recuse themselves, now the petitioners don't have a mechanism to get their
3
plans
votes.
approved, right? So it's not really a planning board problem, it's a community problem for the people that are coming before the planning board.
Yeah, but it centers around the planning board
It
and that
does.
process. I mean, there might be different ways to deal with that. I mean, they operate by quorum, don't they? Or do they have cases where there has to be unanimous?
Correct.
They have cases
Yes.
where they have.
Supermajority
require
as well,
supermajority,
which is
so it has to
4.
have 4.
4 or 5, yeah, okay. Right, okay, I get that.
So that's, to me, why it makes it more urgent.
And I think part of the problem is, may not be a problem, the planning board may not like what I say, but they have 5-year terms. I mean, that's a long window, and we're dealing with a situation where this individual may not be there for 4 years.
Which has happened before.
Yeah.
By the way, I was once a contestant for a planning board position, unsuccessful. But the thing that, no comment, but the 5-year was problematic. I went ahead anyway because I thought the 5 years would go by quickly. But that's a long time, and there have been people, I can name a couple, and I won't, of course, who didn't finish their terms for various reasons, and that caused problems. Most of the time, there were people who stood up and, ran for the positions. So the 5-year is inherently problematic in my opinion.
I agree.
admire people who do that.
Are there any comment? So we do have a motion and a second to include this on the warrant. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
So we have 2 in favor, 1 opposed, and 2 absent, so that passed. Now I'll entertain
Where would you like that placed on the
the
warrant?
end. I don't want to renumber stuff.
Totally fine.
I don't like putting it at the end because people are going to complain that.
Or
it's
they're
the
going to be
end.
gone. Yeah, they won't be.
And they're going to be gone, so I don't love that, except I don't think it's fair, like, people have already been renumbering the,
Can I ask a question? Is there a mechanism that someone can bring an article forward? If it doesn't
I don't think
involve
so.
money, can they request, if the audience approves, can they request an?
I don't think so. I don't think the moderator will allow that. We have a new moderator, so I don't know.
Moderator would-
But the way that I thought we were going to have to do this is, you'll recall many years where we called a special election in the middle of the annual, or a special town meeting in the middle.
Middle of it, right.
And that would be, when you call a special town meeting in the middle of the town meeting, then it stops, and then you take up that item at that time period, and then you resume with the annual town meeting. But that's also kind of confusing for people and kind of disruptive. But I don't like renumbering articles that are already there. I don't know. What do you think about renumbering? I think, so the problem, not the problem, those people, those couple hundred souls who usually go to town meeting know that the zoning changes tend to take a while. So the zoning changes at the end, and they tend to take a lot of discussion about those, which I was totally fine with putting the easement one at the end, because it's kind of related to that. But, yeah, I think we got to put it at the end.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, if people care enough, they'll hang in there for it, and if not,
They don't.
if not, 50 people will make a decision on,
Vote it down.
on the recall.
Yeah, okay, so at the end. All right, so is there any, those were the only 2 that I knew we needed to
Yes.
consider.
Yep.
All right, so so we need a vote to close the town meeting warrant?
Yes.
So
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that's 3 in favor and 2 absent. All right, so anything else that you wanted to call out on the review, amend, finalize, approve the posting?
Just that, obviously with the changes tonight, I will add those to the end based on the language within your packets. As we discussed those highlighted sections, I'll fill in based on the discussion this evening. This draft that is in your packet has been reviewed by council, and it would be ready for posting upon the board's approval with those additions added.
And then did we decide that, that the motions are not going to be in the warrant, they're going to be an addendum?
That's
So the
correct.
town meeting, people participating in town meeting will still have it in a piece of paper, the motions?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay.
And
Right.
then just on that note too, that would also be where the recommendations from the board and the finance committee would also be posted.
On the addendum?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the posting of the town meeting warrant?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 3 in favor and 2 absent. Phew. Okay, town administrator report.
Yes, thank you. My apologies, just have to get to that page. So first item is, I just wanted to highlight the fact that I have passed my 90-day mark. with-
Congratulations.
Thank you, Town of Westport.
Party time.
Party time, that's right, yes.
Where are those donuts that we had this morning?
You got donuts? Sean and I got left out of this mix.
You just get candy.
But consistent with the transition plan I put together when I first started with the town, I intend to come to the board with a formal report about the 90 days, my observations, recommendations on key areas, financial management, general operations, communications, staff development, infrastructure, and more. So, it's my intent that that will kickstart the process with the new board when it comes to goal setting, both at the board level and also, with action items for me. So I'm really looking forward to that. The second thing is, as we've been working on the town meeting preparation, I had to sit down with the town moderator. It's my intent over the next couple of weeks to have another sit-down coordination meeting with him, council, and the town clerk in preparation to go over the articles as we've discussed tonight and gear up for the town meeting on May 5th. So next item, I just wanted to give a shout out and report that the fire department was awarded a grant this past week for $19,000 through the Firefighter Safety Equipment Grant Program. This was a competitive grant program, and our department received the maximum award available to towns. And this funding will support the purchase of extradition equipment and structural PPE equipment. So congratulations to them. The last item I want to bring your attention to, this was on the board's agenda a few meetings ago. This is with regards to the Brigg Roads, Oakland Avenue water main project. So as we discussed, we have Kleinfelder working right now on the final design plans. We are putting together a request for qualifications for architect and engineering firms that will help us ultimately put the bid documentations and the construction administration services together. So that we are expecting to have issued next week and have the statement of qualifications for the A&E services due first week of May. So that is it for me.
All right, thank you.
Can I make a comment? I'm sorry.
No, well, quick.
It's directed to the town administrator.
Okay.
And that regarding the town warrant, the copy of the warrant doesn't include the budget for Article 11. Will you be including that when you post?
So I believe in the past, it's been part of the motion where we include that table that you're referencing.
The public doesn't get a copy of the budget?
So the budget recommendation would come from the finance committee, so you
Yes.
need to talk with the,
But the actual numbers.
right.
The table.
It's,
The table.
So Nicole is working on that.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. And they've included the updated school amount.
Nicole should have that.
Because it wasn't included in here,
Yeah.
in the draft.
We should put the draft of the budget online so people can see it.
It
is.
The draft
It's in
budget
there.
is.
Okay,
online.
it's in there.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
It's just not part of the warrant, it's on there.
Yes.
It's not in here now.
The draft budget is on the website. It's not in the warrant.
So I think she's referring to the article itself, I
Right.
think 11, where it talks about the budget. It,
Yeah.
it's gonna be added to that.
Okay. All right. That was all I had.
Okay. All right, the minutes from March 23rd.
Motion to approve March 23rd minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 3 in favor and 2 absent. Report on the bill warrant.
Okay, this was dated 4/1. It was $2 million, almost right on the nose. This is the one that we had been talking about, warrants for the billing of water customers in the north end. And then sure enough, $55,000 worth of warrants to authorize the billing was there to be approved. Anyway, and it was not significant in terms of what I was doing because everything was in order. So it doesn't need to be voted on again, but it's a good report once again on a timely basis and accurate, as best I can determine from 200 pieces of paper.
I was just trying to get on the town website. I can't get on. It's saying it can't, the server can't be found. I don't know. I hope that's just me and not.
1 second.
Must be a plot to keep select board members.
It might be like, I'm like, did I have it right? But I think I do. Anyway, so I think, yeah, other websites are working, so I think we might have.
I have a spinning wheel of death, so.
Yeah, I think we're having a problem with town websites, so I don't know who to report that to.
Mr. Vitale, our town website is not working.
No problem, we'll put in the ticket. I can open it, but I don't know if
My site can't be reached over here, so.
All right, so we have committee reports and suggestions for future agenda discussion. So Jake, anything?
I don't have anything that I can think of.
Dick, you have anything?
A couple of things here. It's actually only 2 things. The audit committee met on the 30th of March, and that was a review of the audit documents. On the 4th of May, we will have another meeting where the town auditor, Anthony Roselli, will be present. And of course, I always mention this because then after that, the select board invites him to present either in person or on the screen. So that's already moving forward. There were no, not to give away the news here, but there were no material weaknesses. There were usual 7 or 8 or 10 recommendations in what they call the governance letter. We used to know that as a management letter. It was pointed out by the chair of the audit committee recently. So that was a good report, but there are some things we always have to work on. Now, the other thing was just a brief meeting of the CERTA, the buses, and I think everybody knows that the fares are free. And I asked about how long that would continue, and it will continue for the foreseeable future. The short answer was as long as the money's there. And the money has been given by various and sundry grants. But that's a good thing. I think it would be hard to go back to the old way, which is collecting money. But it's working, and it's really a great thing for a lot of people. In terms of those meetings that are going on in committees, I do have an item to be thinking about for a future discussion of this group, having to do with short-term rentals. All right, so 'tis the season, and people are asking, and there is a role that when we decided to have the second round of discussion at 2 separate town meetings, and finally it was approved, there's a role for us to play. But I think we're relying on the town administrator. Yeah, but I think we need to do something, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if we need, like, procedures to sign up, or we have to put enforcement mechanisms in place. I don't think we have a manual of operation here, but I do think we have to do something. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, on that note, that's something where our office has received a couple calls on that, and we've expressed that that process hasn't been fully defined yet. I know that there was some conversation with the board this past year about, some of the initial discussions internally, and, to your point, what we would establish, and that is certainly on the list, is a permit workflow. Obviously, an initial application, what do we need to effectively process it, a workflow, who would be involved, and what responsibility would we task each of those respective departments. So obviously, we want to make sure we capture what we need to without it being too much of an administrative burden to any one particular department. But, that's something that certainly we can get on an upcoming agenda, continue that conversation on. But it's going to be that the application we have to put together and how we want to accept those, process those, and then what's the workflow look like on the back end when it comes to, getting recommendations from departments, potentially enforcement of those different applications and things of that nature.
Yeah, to Dick's point, we discussed it before, and I think because there are so many possible units in town that you'd have to inspect, it was more like we'd have to do some sort of random, almost lottery-based selection, because, the fire chief and everyone else would be out there, the entire time doing Airbnbs and everything else. So I think it's based on the sheer number, it has to be some sort of randomized, they'll do the process, but then have by the expectations that, 10% of the 300 are, inspected or something.
So maybe, is that something that can wait till after town meeting, do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think this year's going to be tough to get this all together. There's a lot of moving parts to this. And the prior town administrator made a point of that, to say, we got some work to do here.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough at first, but it may take a couple of years to get this running right.
Yeah. Good, keep us on track, we were supposed to be working on that. So I did attend a school building committee meeting, kind of two things I want to make sure the board knows about. So one of the things we talked about was closing out the project and, summing it all up and calling it done. So there's still some work on the accounting team needs to do to kind of get the final numbers and how much we've spent. There's still a few remaining items that they want to work on. So that kind of, how do we get to the place where we can end the project was one of the discussions. The other one that came up was there has been some talk about alleviating the traffic problems around the school by opening up the road where the campground property is. And so we talked about that, the implications of that. But one of the things we wanted to know was we wanted to seek advice from bond counsel about whether that was like spending money to build that road was something that we could appropriately spend under that bond. I believe it is not. I believe it's changed the scope of the project and property that wasn't there at the original bond, but I'm just me and not bond counsel. So I think you're working with Sue to work with council to get like a ruling on whether we can. So first of all, we don't know how much money we have exactly left to know if we have money to pay for the road. I think we probably do have enough to pay for the road. But second, whether it's appropriate under that bond issue or whether we'd have to find another mechanism to pay for it. So we're getting expertise on that. That was all I had. Do we have any comments and statements from the public? We have way more public here than we usually do at this time. All right. We do. I do know that we have one topic that was not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance. So do you want to tell us what that is?
Certainly. So over the last several weeks, we have been working with our energy manager and representatives from the library on a grant application. This is through the Green Communities Grant Program. They are looking to apply for $250,000 to help us upgrade the library HVAC system. So that would be a partial funding source. They're also chasing down other grant funding source and rebates through the utilities to fully fund that project, which they estimate right around $480,000. Within this scope of work, they'd be replacing a total of 5 of the rooftop units with the capability of having the electric as well as the fuel source, to essentially, if it gets too cold, they can just flip over to the other heating system. If not, it'll be the electric heat pumps. So this is something where the application they're submitting this week, unfortunately, I was made aware of the signature page late in the day on Friday that it needed the board's approval. So that's why we weren't able to get it to you beforehand, but
So the ask is to authorize the
submission of the grant application.
submission of the grant application.
Correct.
Is there any cost to the town, any matching or anything?
No.
No, all right. Question?
I do have questions, but I don't know if I want to prolong it. The grant itself, are there stipulations as to, and you probably don't know that right off the bat, but I know when they did the heat pump for the town halls, we have more than a couple AC HVAC companies in town that couldn't actually bid on the job because they were, not qualified, I guess, by the Commonwealth. Is that a similar situation with the library that these, local businesses probably wouldn't be able to do the work on that?
The specs, it's likely.
Okay.
Similar funding source, similar requirements. I would say just in the conversations we've had to date, a lot of this, there's a few different options about how it would be configured, so I don't have what that final configuration would look like. But I think the idea behind the conversations as of now is based off of what we get in grant funding total, they're going to try and scale the project to meet what we get.
I'm not going to vote against that, at least. Motion to
Vote your
approve.
conscience. Did you just make a motion?
I did make a motion to approve.
Second.
You have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that's 3 in favor and 2 absent. Right, anything else?
No.
Okay,
I'm all set, thank you.
okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 3 in favor, 2 absent.